Hello, my name is Eliza Nielsen. This is part one of the final presentation. Today I'm going to have a couple visuals to help me explain exactly what I mean, what I'm talking about. First, I'm going to go over what career development is, what I thought it was before, and then what I thought it was after. What I thought it was before was that we develop through our career, right? So we develop by going to multiple careers. That's how we develop. As much careers as we have under our belt is the amount that we're developed. So that's basically what I thought it was. And I thought the role of the counselor was simply just to ask the client, how does this fit? Does it feel right? And if it doesn't feel right, just kind of take him out and put him in the next career. And I use this visual, and it's basically this girl, and she's trying on different clothes, and I thought that's kind of what the client does, is try on different jobs to see what fits and what doesn't fit, and toss aside what doesn't fit and then keep on what does fit. Basically, I learned that career development is a very integrated process, that it's holistic, that it takes place on multiple levels, not just in the work environment. And I used this picture, and it's basically so this is the picture that I used, and I used it because in this picture, this girl's looking at the sunset, feeling tranquil, and the role of the counselor is to simply help the client to feel right about where they're at. But that means going into a lot of other things, tapping into a lot of different areas besides just someone's career. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the 3 career development theories. First one I'm going to talk about is Holland's person-environment fit. The second one I'm going to talk about is Super's career rainbow, and the third one I'm going to talk about is Gottfredsson's circumscription and compromise. And first, I'll show you give you one better look at it. So I use that to show Holland's theory, and basically Holland believes that we need to determine our personalities to predict what work environment will feel right to us, or which will fit the best according to our personality. And by taking the self-directed search, we can actually determine the 3-letter code to figure out what our personality is and see what different areas of work environment that would be suitable. The second is the Super's career rainbow. He talks about the different roles, and then the different life stages. And he believed that what we spend our most time doing could be a huge predictor on what career that we might choose. The last I'm going to talk about is Gottfredsson's theory of circumscription and compromise. And I use this picture. Basically, this picture, sure you've seen it before, but it says what matters most is how you see yourself. And then the next picture is this cat kind of screaming when he sees the lion. And basically why I use that is the first picture represents circumscription, and that's because kids, Gottfredson believed that kids actually, our career development starts when we're little, and that's when we choose what we want to do. So basically, it's this cat looking at this lion saying, like, I'm going to be a princess, I'm going to be a fireman, I'm going to be all these things. But then the compromise is when the cat looks in the mirror and says, wait, I can't be those things, because we have societal bounds and societal norms and expectations that tell us otherwise. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is how all 3 of these theories can be integrated into the books, the well-being assessment, and then my vocational book, which was Let Your Life Speak by Parker Palmer. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is how the theory can actually be integrated into what I'm learning in the MFT program. First, I talked about Holland's theory of the person-environment fit, and I talked about how important it is for Holland believed it's so important for the personality to fit with the work environment. Similarly, Parker Palmer actually believed that once we choose our career, or even before choosing our career, we have to look from within. Instead of being placed in a career, we need to ask ourselves from within. So basically, I talked about how they can work in collaboration with each other. once we find out our letter code, and once we get suited into that environment, Palmer suggests that it actually can be so important to look from within and say, does this feel right? And that's why I use the word discernment. And basically, discernment says that that we have to really look for what feels right. And also in my MFT program, we're learning about how there needs to be the right fit. So I use this little quote: "If the shoe fits." There needs to be a right fit between the therapist and the client in order for collaboration and treatment to proceed. The next thing I'm talking about is the career rainbow. And I talked about how that can be integrated with the well-being assessment. And basically with the well-being assessment, um, it talks about the different areas of well-being. And I think that it can be integrated with Super's career rainbows, because Super talks about how we have current and past roles that can determine what career we might stand in. And because careers where we spend our most of our time, the well-being assessment can actually show us, is this hurting us or helping us? So basically what I used was this add and subtraction sign, because we have to kind of look at, are the roles that I'm playing in my life, and are these areas of well-being helpful, or are they hurting? And the next thing I talked about was Super's, how Super and Bowen actually. So Bowen is a theorist as well, and Bowen talks about how this concept of individuality, and he believes individuality happens when we have an integrated self. And similarly, Super does believe um, that we also make sense of ourselves with the roles that we play in our life. So they can both work in collaboration to kind of establish individuality. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Gottfried's theory of circumscription and compromise. And I talked about how we all grow up realizing that we can and cannot do certain things, according to Gottfriedson. Parker, on the other hand, believes that we need to kind of break the societal bounds, and do what feels right for us. So he believes that if a woman wants to be a pastor, she has to kind of break through that compromising and do a male-dominated career. The next thing I'm going to talk about is person-centered therapy. And person-centered therapy is what I've learned in my MFT program. And there's this concept of incongruency. And um, incongruency basically means that we live up to the expectations of others. We're not congruent with ourselves. And I think that's important with Gottfried's theory, is because it kind of says to not compromise, and to be able to establish congruence with self. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is why career development is important in the field of psychology, clinical psychology. And what I talk about is that people spend the majority of their time at work. So that means it's so important for us as counselors to know about career-related issues to be able to help our clients. The next thing I'm going to talk about is that job satisfaction leads to life satisfaction. That's why it is so important that we are helpful to our clients, because we want them to be satisfied in life. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the 3 personal lessons that I learned. Um, and basically what I learned was career well-being dramatically affects overall well-being. And I learned that through the well-being assessment, is because somebody's not happy in their career,